The war was World War I, 1914 to 1918. Do you know which events the dates below refer to? 4th July 1776. America got independence. 17th December 1903. Wright brothers made their first flight. 6th August 1945. Hiroshima Day. 30th January 1948. Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. 12th April 1961. Yuri Gagarin became the first human that orbited the Earth. 20th July 1969. Neil Armstrong became the first human that set foot on the moon. I spotted it in a junk shop in Bridport, a roll-top desk. The man said it was early 19th century and oak. I had wanted one, but they were far too expensive. This one was in a bad condition, the roll top in several pieces, one leg clumsily mended, scotch marks all down one side. It was going for very little money. I thought I could restore it. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I had to have it. I paid the man and brought it back to my workroom at the back of the garage. I began work on it on Christmas Eve. I refers to the narrator of this story. Spotted it means found out. I saw. In informal language, we use instead of saying I found it, I spotted it, we can say. In a junk shop and where Bridport, that is in Britain. The man said it was early 19th century. It was antique, means a very old one and made of oak. I had wanted one, means the narrator wishes for that kind of one but it is very expensive. That's the reason so far he never bought this kind of roll top desk. But this roll top desk is nothing but a writing desk, is bad condition. This roll top desk is in bad condition. The roll top in several pieces, one like clumsily mended. Scotch marks means burn marks all down one side. It was going for very little money. Going for here means selling for. I thought I could restore it. I could restore means I can repair it. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I had to have it. I paid the man and brought it back to my workroom at the back of the garage. I began work on it on Christmas Eve, before the Christmas day. And he was trying to repair it because it was a little bit damaged. There were burnt marks and everything, so he was going to repair that. I removed the roll top completely and pulled out the drawers. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. Veneer means a thin layer of plastic or decorative wood on the furniture. It looked like water damage to me. Both fire and water had clearly taken their toll on this desk. Taken their toll means damaged. What damaged the desk? Water and the fire. The last drawer was stuck fast. Stuck fast means shut tight. It's not coming out. I tried all I could to ease it out gently. In the end, I used brute force. First, we tried to take it off smoothly, but it didn't come, so we had to use force. I struck it sharply with the side of my fist, and the drawer flew open to reveal a shallow space underneath, a secret drawer. There was something in there. I reached in and took out a small black tin box. Sellotaped to the top of it was a piece of lined notepaper and written on it in a shaky handwriting. Jim's lost letter, received January 25th, 1915. To be buried with me when the time comes. I knew as I did it that it was wrong of me to open the box, but curiosity got the better of my scruples. It usually does. So the narrator found something in that. First, he did not want to open that, but because of curiosity, he had to open it. Scruples means feelings that make you hesitate to do something wrong. No, I should not open the letter is for someone. It's not good manners like that he thought, but curiosity made him open that letter. Inside the box there was an envelope. The address read Mrs. Jim MacPherson, 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. So that letter is to Mrs. Jim MacPherson and address is also there. I took out the letter and unfolded it. It was written in pencil and dated at the top, December 26, 1914. It was written in pencil. Comprehension check. What did the author find in a junk shop? The author found a roll top desk. What did he find in a secret drawer? He found a letter in a secret drawer. Who do you think had put it in there? The owner of the roller top desk. The owner of the roll top desk. So he opened that letter and started reading. Dearest Connie, I write you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened that I must tell you about at once. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning. It was crisp and quite all about as beautiful a morning as I've ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. So this letter is to Mrs. Jim MacPherson. Jim MacPherson is writing this letter to his wife. His wife's name is Connie. So he was describing in this letter how he spent the Christmas day in the border. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth I am ashamed to say is that Fritz began it. Fritz means a German soldier. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Trenches means long, deep ditches in the ground where soldiers hide from the enemy. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land, Happy Christmas! Tommy, Happy Christmas! When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, Same to you, Fritz, same to you. Here, Tommy means British soldier. A common English name used here to refer to British soldiers. Fritz, German soldier, and Tommy, British soldier. I thought that would be that. We all did, but then suddenly one of them was up there in his great coat and waving a white flag. Don't shoot, lads, someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Fritz upon the parapet, and another. Keep your heads down, I told the man. It's a trick, but it wasn't. So, Jim MacPherson, he just alerted his soldiers. It may be a trick, they may shoot us because they are our enemies. But nothing happened like that. One of the Germans was waving a bottle above his head. It is Christmas Day, Tommy. We have snaps. We have sauces. We meet you? Yes? By this time there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land and not a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first up. Come on, boys, what are we waiting for? And then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose. But the truth is that it never even occurred to me I should. all along their line, and ours I could see men walking slowly towards one another, grey coats, khaki coats meeting in the middle, and I was one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. So, so one side German soldiers are there, here British soldiers are there, and first they waved and they wished the happy Christmas, and first they were little bit alert. After they came to know there will be no harm, they try to make peace. So let's enjoy the Christmas, German soldiers said, and British soldiers also mingled, and they were just behaving like friends. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the Fridge officer who approached me, hand outstretched. Hans Wolf, he said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it. I am from Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. So, German soldier came, his officer, Fridge officer, he introduced himself. I am Hans Wolf and I am from Dusseldorf and I play the cello. It's a musical instrument. Happy Christmas. He wished Jim Macpherson. See friends, here German soldiers and British soldiers playing football. So no man's land. The middle is called no man's land. One side British soldiers will be there, another side German soldiers are there. But here, that was Christmas Day. Happily they're enjoying. Captain Jim Macpherson, I replied, and happy Christmas to you too. I'm a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England. So German soldier introduced himself. Next, British soldier Jim Macpherson also introduced himself. Ah, Dorset, he smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration and his excellent sauces. And we talked, Connie, how we talked. He spoke almost perfect English, but it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy, his favorite book Far from the Madding Crowd. So, German soldier learned English even though he never been to England. He learned English through books. And his favorite writer was Thomas Hardy, it seems. And favorite book is Far from the Madding Crowd. So out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son, born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, eating. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. He thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. Marzipan is one sweet. Marzipan is a sweet covering on a cake made from sugar, eggs, and almonds. Agreed. We agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. There never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. So, here Jim Macpherson is writing this letter to his wife, Connie. He was so surprised that instead of fight, there is a friendship between German soldiers and British soldiers. So he wants to share that happy moment with his wife, Connie. That's why this is the letter addressed to Connie. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Great coats were dumped in piles to make goalposts. And the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Fritz. So, Tommy, British soldier, Fritz, German soldier. In the middle of no man's land, Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered. Hans Wolf is officer there, and here, who is this? Jim, Captain Jim Macpherson is the officer for British soldiers. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim McPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives become widows. In war, what happens, friends? Children will become orphans because many soldiers die in the war. Many wives become widows. But here, this is football match. Nothing such will happen. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning. Probably we laughed at that and together we watched the game. I would prefer cricket to football because we know cricket very well. Definitely we will win the match. Like that, Captain Jim McPherson said. Sad to say, sad to say, Connie, Fritz won. So who won? German soldiers only won. 2 goals to 1. But as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the schnapps, means German drinks, and the rum and the sauces had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides, Answolf said. Take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment nor you. He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt. He turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey coated men drifting back towards their trenches. So, German soldiers went back to their trenches. Uh, Trenches means ditches in the ground to hide from the enemies. That night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol and singing it quite beautifully. It was still nudged, silent night. How boys gave them a rousing chorus while shepherds watched. We exchanged carols for a while, and then we all fell silent. We had had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. So is so happy, so glad about that celebration. So both soldiers want to go back to their family. Okay, nobody wants to die in that war. They want to make peace. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, I am sure of it. So, Captain Jim McPherson hoped that the war would end and they would meet again soon. So, he ended the letter, Your loving Jim. The captain is Jim McPherson. Who had written the letter to whom and when? Who had written this letter? Jim wrote this letter to Connie. And when? On 26th December. He was describing the day 25th, how happily they spent with the enemies. Why was the letter written? What was the wonderful thing that had happened? The letter was written to share happy moments. Jim wrote this letter to his wife to share the happy moments that happened between German soldiers and British soldiers during the World War One. What jobs did Hans Wolf and Jim McPherson have when they were not soldiers? Hans Wolf was Hans Wolf used to play cello in orchestra, and G. McPherson was a teacher. Had Hans Wolf ever been to Dorset? Why did he say he knew it? No, Hans Wolf was never been to Dorset. Why did he say he knew it? He learnt everything from the books. He learnt the language, learnt about places and everything through books. Do you think Jim Macpherson came back from the war? How do you know this? I think Jim Macpherson did not come back from the war. He was expecting that he would come back soon. I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. He read that letter. It was written a long time back. The narrator read the entire letter and folded back. I kept awake all night. He could not sleep that night. By morning, I knew what I had to do. So he wanted to hand out that letter to the addressee, to Connie. I drove into Bridport, just a few miles away. I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beaches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out shell, the roof gaping, the windows boarded up. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabout of Mrs. Macpherson. Okay, he went there. That house was totally burnt off, and he went to the neighbor and inquired about Mrs. Macpherson. Oh, yes, said the old man in his slippers. He knew her well. A lovely old lady, he told me. A bit muddle headed, but at her age she was entitled to be, wasn't she? 101 years old. Now, Connie is 101 years old. She had been in the house when it caught fire. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. She used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in a nursing home now, it told me. Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of town. The narrator came to know about Connie where she is living now through a neighbor. Why did the author go to Bridport? Why did the author or a narrator go to Bridport to hand over that letter to Connie? How old was Mrs. Macpherson now? Where was she? She was 101 year old and she was in nursing home. I found Burlington House nursing home easily enough. There were paper chains up in the hallway and a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with a lopsided angel on top. He said I was a friend come to visit Mrs. Macpherson to bring her a Christmas present. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. The matron had a hat on too and seemed happy enough to see me. She even offered me a mince pie. She walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not in with the others, she told me. She is rather confused today, so we thought best if she had a good rest. She has no family, no one visits. So I am sure she will be only too pleased to see you. She took me into a conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. She was gazing out at the garden. Hello, I said. The author introduced himself. She turned and looked up at me vacantly. Happy Christmas, Connie, I went on. I found this. I think it's yours. As I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. Opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was the moment her eyes lit up with recognition and her face became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. Suffused means spread. She was very happy to find that letter. She recognized the letter was from her husband. I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. For a while she said nothing but stroked the letter tenderly with her fingertips. Suddenly she reached out and took my hand. Her eyes were filled with tears. You told me you would come home by Christmas, dear, she said, and here you are. The best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim dear, sit down. The old lady mistook Arthur to her husband. She thought he was her husband. I sat down beside her and she kissed my cheek. I read your letters so often, Jim, every day. I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me. And now you are. Now you're back, you can read it to yourself. Will you do that for me, Jim dear? I just want to hear your voice again. I would love that so much. And then perhaps we will have some tea. I've made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan all around. I know how much you love marzipan. This beautiful story was written by Michael Marpargo. Who did Connie Macpherson think her visitor was? She thought it was her husband. Which sentence in the next text shows that the visitor did not try to hide his identity? He introduced that he came there to hand out that letter, so he did not want to hide his identity. So, how do you feel, friends? Please comment the comment box. If you want more lessons, okay, if you are preparing for DSC, if you want me to upload more lessons, I will upload, friends. Please let me know, comment, so that I like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and your likes will give me more motivation more motivation, so I will be able to upload more videos. Thank you, friends. See you in the next video. Until then, bye, take care.